Welcome to Alien Shadow. If you love epic sci-fi stories where humanity shines, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. For thrilling HFY adventures, join us and be part of the journey. The creature in the chamber. The research station on planet Kavos 9 was always quiet at night. Leo, the only human left on shift, walked down the long metal hallway with his toolkit in hand. Snowstorms outside hit the walls like angry fists, making the lights flicker. He had worked here for 4 months and thought he had seen everything, but tonight felt different. He stopped at a sealed lab door marked Bio H7. It was always locked, and no one told him what was inside. He was only the engineer, meant to fix pipes and power lines, but now the door screen blinked red with an error. Temperature failure. That was bad. If something was alive inside, it could be dying. Leo sighed and tapped the control panel. Authorization required, the voice said. He didn't have the code, but he knew how to bypass it. With a few quick moves, wires exposed and sparks flying, he unlocked the chamber. The door opened with a slow hiss, cold steam flowing out. Inside was darkness, and thick fog covered the glass walls. He stepped in slowly, holding his flashlight. The beam caught something in the corner, a large glass chamber with frost on it. Leo wiped the fog off the chamber's surface with his glove, and then he froze. There was a girl inside, not human but not fully alien either. She had smooth blue skin, long silver hair, and markings like glowing vines on her cheeks. Her eyes were closed, her body curled tightly like she was freezing. And then suddenly she opened her eyes and looked at him. Leo jumped back, heart pounding. She didn't move, but her lips moved slowly. A weak sound came from a speaker on the wall, soft like wind. Please scrub me, spray me with water, I'll bond with you. Leo's hands shook. What did you say? He asked, stepping closer. The voice came again, broken and slow. Water, please, my skin. It's burning, I need to bond. He didn't know what bonding meant, but the pain in her voice was real. She looked like she was dying. He saw the chamber. Temperature -20 degrees, too cold for any living thing. Without thinking, Leo grabbed a wrench and opened the side panel of the glass chamber. He pulled the emergency lever, and the top of the chamber lifted slowly. Steam poured out, and the girl gasped as warm air hit her skin. Her body twitched and her arms moved slightly, reaching for him. Leo hesitated, then picked her up gently. Her skin felt dry and cracked like old paint. She was light, too light. He carried her to the station's washroom and laid her on the warm tiles. Don't die on me, he whispered. The girl opened her eyes again, and this time she whispered clearly, scrub me, please. Help me live. He found the water sprayer, turned on warm mist, and knelt beside her. He sprayed her arms, and she let out a long breath, her body relaxing, but her skin was still covered in dry flakes, gray dust that looked like it came from another world. He grabbed a soft cloth and slowly wiped her shoulders, careful not to hurt her. As he scrubbed, something amazing happened. Her skin began to glow. Under the dust, beautiful blue lines lit up like rivers of light, moving softly across her body. She gasped again, but this time it was a sound of relief. Thank you, it's working, she whispered. Leo kept spraying and wiping, feeling his heart beat faster. He had no idea who she was or what kind of alien she might be, but in this moment all he saw was someone who needed him, and he couldn't walk away after a few minutes. Her breathing became steady, her eyes stayed on his face, calm but filled with emotion. Then she said something that made him stop moving. You've started the bond, now we are connected. Leah blinked. What bond? He asked. Confused, she raised her hand and placed it gently on his chest. Our kind bond. Through water, through care, now I feel you, your warmth, your heart. Leo's throat went dry. This wasn't just about saving her life. Something deeper was happening. He didn't understand it yet, but he felt something too, a strange pull, a sense that he wasn't alone anymore. The lights above flickered again, and a loud beep came from the hallway. Security systems were waking up. Someone might know she was awake. But Leo didn't care. He looked down at the alien girl and made a silent promise. Whatever this was, wherever it led, he wouldn't let her go. The cleansing ritual, the washroom was filled with warm steam. Leo sat beside the strain alien girl, still trying to understand what had just happened. She lay on the floor tiles, glowing softly, breathing slowly, her skin shining with blue patterns under the mist. The bond, she had called it, and somehow it had already begun. Her name, she finally whispered, was Varai. She spoke with pauses, like each word was a stone she had to lift. My body needs water to survive, she said, her voice weak but clearer than before. I was locked in that chamber for many moons, drying slowly, dying. Leo stared at her, wondering who would do that to someone like her. She looked fragile, delicate, almost like a dream carved out of starlight, yet inside her he could feel something strong, a quiet power, barely awake. He didn't ask questions, not yet. She needed help first, and talking could come later. He lifted her gently and carried her into the full body cleaning pod. It was an old model used by crew members after coming in from harsh environments. He laid her down inside the glass pod, careful not to touch her skin too much. Her body twitched slightly, like she was trying to hold back pain. Leo turned on the water mist setting, adjusting the temperature to warm. Thin jets of steam and droplets sprayed over her body in soft waves. She gasped and arched her back as the water hit her skin. Blue veins lit up like stars, pulsing along her arms and collarbone. I feel it. The bond is stronger now, she whispered. What does bonding mean? Leo asked quietly, watching her reactions. Varai opened her eyes and looked at him, the glow in her pupils reflecting the light above. In my world, water is sacred, she said. It chooses our mate, our protector, our other half. Leo felt his heart skip a beat. I didn't mean to start anything, he said quickly, but Varai shook her head slowly. You didn't force the bond. You answered my call. That is rare. As the cleaning continued, the dust and dried skin peeled off slowly. What remained was soft, luminous blue skin, smooth like polished stone. Leo used a soft cloth to gently scrub along her shoulders, arms, and legs. Every time he touched her, the glowing lines danced under his fingers. She didn't flinch anymore. Instead, she closed her eyes, trusting him fully. Her breathing deepened, her cheeks gained color, and her voice grew steadier. She began to hum, a low musical sound like distant wind through trees. Leo felt it echo inside his chest, not just in his ears. He sat back for a moment, watching her. No words could describe what he was seeing. Your kindness is unusual, she said softly. Humans in the lab only watched, tested, and feared me. Leo frowned. You were part of an experiment. She nodded slowly. They called me Subject 9V. They didn't know I was still aware, still alive. A wave of anger rose inside him. Whoever locked her in that frozen box had treated her like a thing, not a person. Leo clenched his fists. You're safe now, he said. I won't let them hurt you again. Very reached out. Her hand, wet and glowing, and gently touched his face. Her fingers were warm, soft but charged with strange energy. I feel your truth, she said. The bond shares feelings, not lies. Suddenly, alarms echoed from the far end of the corridor. Red lights began flashing outside the washroom. Warning. Unauthorized access to restricted subject. The AI's voice rang out. They know, Leo whispered. They're coming for. I sat up slowly, stronger than before. We must leave, she said firmly. If they take me again, I will not survive a second time. Leo grabbed a towel, wrapped her in it, and helped her stand. He looked into her glowing eyes. Where do we go? He asked. She placed her hand on his chest again. I can feel the path. Follow me, human. As the door opened and the mist poured into the hallway, Leo knew one thing for sure. This was no ordinary rescue. This was a beginning, and he was now part of something much bigger than himself. Secrets in her skin. Footsteps echoed in the hallway behind them. Red lights flashed above and the sirens cried louder. Leo held very close as they moved through the back corridors of the station. Her wet hair clung to her shoulders, her glowing skin hidden beneath the dark towel. She was walking better now, breathing easier, but danger was closing in fast. This way, she said softly, touching the wall with glowing fingers. The panel lit up where she touched, and a hidden door slid open. Leo stared surprised. That door's been locked for years, he said. Vare nodded. But it was made by my kind. They stepped into a narrow passage, dark, dusty, and filled with old wires. It smelled like rust and cold air. As the door closed behind them, the noise from the main hallway faded. Only the hum of machines and their footsteps remained. Leo checked his wrist scanner. Security bots are moving, he said. They'll search everywhere. Farah didn't answer. She looked deep in thought. They walked for a few more minutes until they reached a small room filled with old tech, screens broken, monitors and faded control panels covered the walls. Leo dropped his toolkit and took a breath. Okay, talk to me, he said. Who are you really? Why do you know this place? Vare sat on a dusty crate, her towel slipping slightly from her shoulder. Glowing blue symbols appeared again on her skin like soft fire under her surface. Leo stepped closer, eyes wide. I've seen those marks before, he whispered. On the old alien ruins outside the station. She looked up at him and nodded. Yes, because I am from that same world. Leo remembered the mission logs years ago. Research team found alien ruins buried in the ice. They called them the forgotten structures. No one could read the symbols. They said the language was dead, but it wasn't dead. It was alive. On Vare's skin, these marks are not just symbols, Vare said, her fingers glowing as she traced one along her arm. They are messages, memories, and power. Leo watched as the mark she touched shimmered and moved, forming a new pattern. It was like watching ink float on water. Each line is part of me, she continued. My history, my soul. The bond unlocked it again. Leo sat down beside her, stunned. You said humans studied you, he asked. Did they know all this They only saw a body, she replied, her voice bitter. They didn't see a mind or a heart, only something to test and break. He looked at her glowing skin. It was beautiful, but also filled with sadness. Her story wasn't just about science. It was about pain, survival, and silence. Leo felt something rise inside his chest, a mix of anger and guilt. He didn't do this to her, but he was part of the same species who did. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For what they did. Farai turned her head, eyes softening. But you're different, she said. You heard me when I whispered from the chamber. You answered. She reached for his hand and held it between both of hers. In that moment, Leo felt something warm flood through his body, a wave of light not seen but felt, wrapped around his heart. It wasn't just emotion, it was connection. Suddenly, the control panel on the wall flickered. An old hologram burst to life, showing static images of alien text. Leo stared at it. The screen translated itself in real time. Memory core active, the panel said. Farai's touch had activated something ancient. This place, she whispered, standing slowly, was a meeting ground. Long ago, where humans and my kind first spoke. Leo's mind spun. You mean humans? And your people met before? She nodded. Yes, before war, before fear, before we were forgotten. Suddenly the sirens outside stopped, but a cold, robotic voice came through the station speaker. Unauthorized subject detected. Capture protocol activated. Leo grabbed his toolkit, his pulse racing. They're not giving up, he said. We need to move. Again, Farai placed her glowing hand on his chest. Then it's time, she said. Time I show you what I really am. Her skin shimmered again, brighter than before. Symbols across her body moved like a living map. She stepped forward, no longer weak, no longer afraid, and for the first time Leo understood. He hadn't just rescued a girl, he had awakened something ancient, something powerful, and now her secrets were part of him too. Escape protocol. The old memory room dimmed again as Farai stepped away from the panel. Her skin still glowed with soft blue light, but her eyes were sharp now, no longer weak, no longer silent. She looked like someone who had just remembered who she truly was. Outside, the robotic voice repeated, capture protocol activated. All units deploy. Leo's chest tightened. They'll come with drones, he said, armed bots that won't stop until we're caught. Farai closed her eyes. I can block them for a short time, but we must run. She reached for Leo's hand and guided him to another wall. Her fingers lit up a hidden control. A door opened behind old panels, revealing a tunnel. The air inside smelled like dust and age. This path leads to the hangar bay, she said. That's where they keep the surface rovers. They moved fast through the tunnel, wires hanging from the ceiling, water dripping from cracked pipes. Leo's mind raced. Just last night he was fixing broken heaters. Now he was running through secret tunnels with a glowing alien girl who had bonded to his soul. How did everything change so fast? As they ran, Farai slowed and pressed her palm to another wall. An old console flickered to life. With a quick gesture, she sent out a pulse of energy. It looked like light but sounded like wind. Security cameras disabled, she said. They won't see us for 10 minutes. Leo raised an eyebrow. You hacked the whole system with just your hand, she nodded. It remembers me. When they reached the hangar door, Leo used his access card to unlock it. The huge metal gate groaned and lifted slowly. Inside, Old rovers sat under sheets of ice and dust. Some didn't even have wheels anymore, but one caught his eye. Sturdy model with big tracks and a solar panel mount. This one, he said. Running toward it, Vari followed her. Glowing feet quiet against the floor. Leo jumped into the driver's seat and tried the power switch. Nothing. Dead battery, he muttered. Then Vari stepped forward, touched the control panel, and the dashboard lit up. Try now, she said. Smiling slightly, Leo grinned. Okay. You're definitely magic. The rover rumbled to life, its engine coughing. Before settling into a low hum, Leo quickly checked the systems. Fuel low, but enough to reach the mountains. He turned to Vari. Where are we going? Exactly, she pointed toward the icy hills in the distance. There's a cargo ship that crashed there long ago. I saw it in your memories and mine. Leo blinked. You saw my memories. The bond connects more than just thoughts, she said. It shares feelings, dreams, secrets we don't say out loud. Before Leo could respond, the base behind them lit up with a red glow. Metal door burst open and 3 spider-shaped drones crawled out there. Eyes flashing red. They're coming, Leo shouted. He hit the accelerator and the rover shot forward, smashing through the thin snow wall outside the hangar. Wind and ice blasted their faces as they drove into the storm. Vari turned in her seat and raised her hand. The drones behind them slowed, sparks shooting from their limbs. She was disrupting them, somehow jamming their signals, but it drained her and she leaned back, breathing hard. I can't hold it much longer, she whispered. Leo drove faster, steering the rover over sharp rocks and frozen ridges. Snowflakes hit the windshield like knives. He glanced at Vari, her skin dimming slightly. Hang on, he said. We're almost there. Suddenly, something crashed into them. From above, a small flying bot, armed and fast, fired a beam that tore into the rover's side panel. Sparks flew and the vehicle swerved, nearly tipping over. Vari cried out as her shoulder hit the wall. Leo grabbed the wheel, pulling hard to steady it. We can't take another hit, he yelled. Vari sat up, blood on her lips, eyes glowing. Again, she opened the top hatch and climbed halfway out. What are you doing? Leo shouted, but she didn't answer. She raised her hands to the sky and screamed. A wave of light burst from her, crackling with heat and energy. The flying drone exploded in midair like a star bursting. She dropped back inside the rover, barely breathing. Leo caught her as she fell into his arms. Why did you do that? He asked, panicked. She opened her eyes slowly. Because you protected me first, she whispered. That's how the bond works. In the distance, the shape of a crashed cargo ship came into view, half buried in ice. Leo drove toward it, knowing it was their only hope. Behind them, more drones were rising, more eyes glowing red, but Leo didn't care. He looked at Vari resting in his lap, and he knew one thing: he would fight for her, run for her, and burn the whole station down if he had to. This wasn't just escape anymore. This was war, and he was ready. The frozen path, the wind howled across the frozen hills like a voice crying through the dark. Snow whipped against the windshield and ice cracked beneath the rover's heavy tracks. Leo gripped the wheel tighter as the vehicle bounced over uneven ground. Every bump made Vari shift slightly in his lap, still weak from using her power. Her skin had dimmed, the glowing lines flickering like fading fire, but she was breathing. That was enough for now. The crashed cargo ship came into full view buried halfway in the side of a frozen cliff. Its metal hull was torn open, blackened by fire and time. Leo brought the rover to a slow stop at the edge of the wreck, snow piled up against the doors, making it clear no one had been here for years. Vari opened her eyes weakly. We're here, she whispered. This place, I remember this. Leo looked at her confused. You've never been here before. She touched her chest lightly. Not me, but the ones who came before me. She stepped out of the rover slowly, barefoot in the snow, but the cold didn't seem to bother her now. The bond was changing her, making her stronger. Leo followed, holding her hand as they moved through the broken hull. Inside, frozen crates were scattered across the floor, and old alien tech blinked in the shadows. Still alive, still waiting. I need to find the core, Vari said softly. It's buried deep in the ship. I can recharge there. Leo nodded. Let's do it fast. Behind them, the sky was turning red. Drones were closing in again. He heard the hum of engines in the wind. We don't have long, he said. They moved through narrow corridors, ice forming strange shapes on the walls. Leo shivered in his jacket while Vari walked like she belonged there. Her glowing skin shimmered against the frozen metal. It was as if the ship recognized her. Lights flickered when she passed. Doors opened at her touch. I don't understand, Leo said. Why is this ship responding to you? Vari turned, her voice soft but firm. Because my people built this and we never meant for it to be forgotten. She finally stopped at a door covered in frost. She placed her hand on it and it melted beneath her touch. The room beyond was round and silent, filled with blue light. A glowing orb floated in the center, humming gently like a heartbeat. The core, she whispered. It will awaken me fully if I survive it. Leo stepped forward, concerned. What do you mean if? Vari looked at him with calm eyes. The bond saved me, but it's incomplete. To finish it, I must take in the core's energy. It could burn me from inside. No, Leo said quickly. We'll find another way. She shook her head. There is no other way, human. And I want this. She turned to the orb and placed her hands on it. A wave of light exploded across the room. Her body lifted off the ground, hair flowing, symbols on her skin pulsing like music. Leo shielded his eyes as the room filled with energy. Sparks danced across the walls and the floor shook beneath his boots. Then silence. Vari dropped to her knees, gasping. Leo ran to her, wrapping his arms around her. She looked up, her eyes brighter than ever before. I'm whole now, she said. I remember everything, and I know what they're after. What do you mean? Leo asked. Vari stood slowly, stronger, taller, like a queen reborn. The scientists wanted more than just a test subject. She said they wanted my gift, the bond energy, to use it as a weapon. Leo's eyes narrowed. They plan to copy you. Vari nodded. Yes, create living tools. Soldiers who could bond with machines and humans alike. Suddenly a loud boom echoed from outside. The ship rocked violently, snow raining down from the broken ceiling. They found us, Leo said, pulling her close. No, she replied, her voice calm. I found them. She raised her hand, and a glowing shield formed in front of the ship entrance. A red drone smashed into it and exploded in a flash of light. Leo's jaw dropped. You, how did you? Vari looked at him with a gentle smile. The bond unlocked my true self. But it was you who made it possible. Outside, more drones hovered above the cliffs, preparing to attack, but Varai stepped forward, her body glowing like a living star. I'm not hiding anymore, she said. I'm not a lab subject, I am a daughter of water and light, and I protect what's mine. Leo stood beside her, feeling no fear, because now he wasn't alone, and whatever was coming next, they would face it together on this frozen path. Bonded hearts. The snowstorm outside howled like a wild beast, but inside the wrecked cargo ship there was silence, the kind that comes just before everything breaks. Marai stood at the edge of the broken doorway, glowing like a star in human form. Her skin shimmered with deep blue light, and her eyes burned like fire behind calm waters. Leo stood beside her, breath sharp in the frozen air, his heart beating like a war drum. More are coming, he said, checking the motion scanner. 3 drones and something bigger behind them. Very nodded slowly. I feel them, she whispered. Machines filled with hunger but no soul. Then a shadow moved through the storm. It wasn't a drone. It was taller, heavier, walking on 2 legs. A figure emerged from the snow, wearing a thick exosuit, face covered by a black visor. The suit carried heavy weapons, and the voice that came from it was cold. Subject 9V, return with us, the man ordered, or we take the human instead. Very glow dimmed slightly, her jaw tightening. Leo stepped forward, fists clenched. She's not going anywhere with you, he shouted. The man raised his weapon. She belongs to us. You bonded with stolen property. Very stepped between them, her body glowing brighter. I am not a thing, she said, voice trembling with power. I chose him. The bond was never yours to take. With one wave of her hand, the snow around her lifted like dust in the wind. Energy swirled in the air, circling her and Leo like a protective storm. Suited man fired, but the bullets melted before they reached them. Leo stared in awe. How are you doing this, he asked. Varai looked at him with soft eyes. Because you gave me something no one else ever did. Choice. Suddenly another figure dropped from the sky, fast, silent, deadly. It was another of her kind, tall, silver-skinned, but his markings were red instead of blue. His voice was deep and bitter. You bonded with a human, he growled. That is forbidden. Varai turned slowly, her eyes sad but not afraid. I didn't choose a human, she said. I chose him. The male stepped forward, angry. You shamed our bloodline. Leo stepped beside her. She's not alone now, he said. Try to touch her, and you'll answer to both of us. The red marked alien moved like lightning, claws slashing, but Varai raised her arms and caught his strike with glowing hands. Power burst between them, light crackling in the air. She pushed him back, eyes glowing brighter than ever. I'm not weak anymore, she said. Bond has made me whole. Leo ran to help, but Varai stopped him with a glance. This fight is mine, she whispered. The 2 aliens clashed, energy flashing with each strike. Snow melted around them, the frozen ground breaking under their power. Finally, Varai landed a blow to his chest, and the red marks on him flickered, then died. He collapsed to his knees, breathless. I see now, he said weakly. You are no longer one of us. No, Varai replied, helping him to his feet. I am something new, something better. The man in the exosuit stepped back, fear finally touching his voice. This wasn't supposed to happen. Leo raised his wrench and smiled. Guess your science experiment had her own plans. The snow around the ship began to settle, and the wind softened. Varai turned to Leo, her skin glowing Warm again, she placed her hand on his cheek. The bond is complete now, she said. I feel everything in you, your fear, your fire, your hope. Leo placed his hand over hers, and I feel your strength, your heart, your pain. In that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the snow, not the danger, not the war, just the two of them standing in the ruins, hearts fully joined, souls locked together. The enemy was defeated. The drones fled, and the station went silent again, but inside their hearts, something had begun that could never be undone. This was no longer a rescue. It was no longer just survival. This was love, ancient, strange, powerful, and together they would face whatever came next. Home in the storm, snow fell gently over the broken battlefield. The sky had turned calm, soft gray clouds rolling over the distant hills. The wind no longer screamed. It whispered as if the storm itself had seen what happened and bowed in silence. Leo sat near the rover, holding Verai's hand in both of his. She leaned against his shoulder, glowing softly like the last light of a setting sun. The wreckage around them lay quiet, the enemy gone, the fight over, but something new had begun. Something more than survival, something that felt like home. Your hand is warm now, Leo said with a small smile. Verai looked at him, her silver hair blowing gently in the wind. It's because of you, she whispered. Before I met you, my body was cold, but my heart was colder. Leo tightened his grip. Well, I guess I'm good at fixing more than machines. She laughed for the first time, soft, real, beautiful. The sound made something in Leo's chest bloom. Not many things had bloomed in his life lately, not on this frozen world, but now with her beside him, even the snow felt softer. We can't stay here, Verai said after a while, her voice calm. The storm may sleep now, but more will come. Leo nodded. I can repair the old cargo ship, maybe not a full flight, but enough to get off this rock. He looked up at the massive, half-buried ship. It was a grave to some, but to him it could be the start of something new. I'll need time, tools, and maybe a miracle, he said. Verai smiled and placed her hand on the ship's cold wall. Then I'll give you one. Her bond energy pulsed through the wreck, lighting old wires, waking sleeping systems. Screens blinked, engines hummed, and metal groaned with life. Leo stood back in awe. You really are a miracle, he whispered. No, she said softly, I'm just someone who was dying until one human heard my voice. She turned to him, her eyes shining. You didn't just save me, Leo. You made me feel alive for the first time. He stepped close, brushing her damp hair behind her ear. And you made me believe again, in connection, in purpose, in something more than just cold metal and empty rooms. They worked side by side for hours, repairing circuits, connecting power cells, restoring life to a forgotten ship. They didn't speak much. They didn't need to. The bond between them said more than words ever could. Every time Leo reached for a tool, Verai was already handing it to him. Every time she grew tired, he held her without question. They moved as one, not just two beings, but a single heart split between two bodies. Night came, but they didn't stop. The cargo ship's lights came on fully for the first time in years, cutting through the dark like hope through sorrow. They gathered food, packs, warm clothing, and data logs from the research station before leaving. Leo looked back only once. He had arrived on this planet as a simple repairman. Now he was leaving as something else. Protector, partner, bonded soul. Inside the ship, Vari found an old stasis room with 2 sleeping pods. I modified one for you, she said, for when we travel far. Leo looked at her, then at the stars beginning to appear through the ship's ceiling glass. Where do we go now? He asked. She walked up to him, took his hand, and rested her head against his chest. Wherever there's water, she said softly, wherever life still sings, and where people like me are still waiting to be heard. He kissed the top of her head, his voice firm and full of promise. Then we'll find them, he said. We'll find every lost voice and give it back its song. As the ship's engines warmed, the snow melted gently beneath it. The frozen path behind them vanished into fog, but ahead, stars, warmth, and the promise of forever. The alien girl had whispered for help once. Now she whispered something new, something only Leo could hear. Through their bond, we are one, and we are free. And together under the stormless sky, they rose into the stars.